Okay, it is 2:50, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Colorado Libraries for Early
Oh,
Literacy.
how did it go?
Let's see. I'll mute people as they come in, but welcome to the Colorado Libraries for Early Literacy 2024 annual conference. You are at Teaching a Baby Storytime with Tiffany Miller. Our session ends at 3:40, and it'll be followed by just a quick 5-minute break before our final keynote speaker today. If you run into any issues with the live stream, we encourage you to try refreshing your app or browser. Feel free to send a message to Elle and I who are moderating this session. And the chat function will be just to the two moderators. If you have questions, feel free to share them throughout, and then we'll share them at the end. And without further ado, I'll hand it off to you, Tiffany.
All right, hi you guys. Welcome. I'm kind of excited to be doing this over Zoom because then I'm not as nervous looking at all of your faces. Um, I a little bit of my background is I've got three kids. Um, my oldest is now 13, so I'm just getting into the teen years. I taught preschool for a few years for my two oldest. And I have been teaching book bugs here at our library. I'm in Spanish Fork, Utah. I've been teaching that for about the last year and a half. And I also just started doing a new um, class that we call Tiny Tomatoes Gardening Club that we do in our community garden here in Spanish Fork. So I just love kids. I love the babies and love spending time with them. So I have enjoyed this very much, and I'm excited to um, share with you how I do my story time. So my story time has these elements in them. I like to make an outline just so that it makes it easier to set up each of my story times. And then we always do an opening. I share literacy tips, which I also don't know if any of you guys went to the class earlier about having a story time asides where we just teach about different things. And she shared about how when we do bubbles, they're following the bubbles with their eyes is how they're building muscles that will help them to learn how to read words, moving their eyes from word to word. And I thought that was awesome. And I'd love to learn more of those to share in my story times. Then I like to introduce sign language, and when we'll do some songs, rhymes, lap bounces, and finger plays. And then we do a lullaby followed by a book and together bags, and then we end. And then I'll share my favorite resources, and then we'll have the time for questions and sharing anything you guys like to do in your story times. So starting off with that outline, I like to pick a theme to try and do songs along those themes, but you don't have to. But if you do want to do them, there are endless possibilities with different seasons that we have and different things that they can learn about. Like you can do one about cars or things that go or airplanes. Just finding the songs for those sometimes can be a little harder when you narrow it down. Um, but there's also so many, and you can always do it's called piggybacking, which is where you take a song and just change the words to it to make it fit whatever your theme is. And then I also love to do colors. I do one each month. I'll do a color, and I like to make that one a little bit more special, and I'll try and have something to hand out um, to for the parents and or caregivers and babies to pass out. So once I've picked my theme, um, we have, oh, well, we start with our opening every week. And I always have the same start to the story time because it helps the babies and the caretakers know what to expect when class starts. So we always start with an opening page, which I'll share with you that has our rules. And then I will do 1 to 3 opening songs. I have three, just because I have a big class, so we don't do a song that shares names. We just do a hello song. And then I like to do a wiggle song. And I do a wiggle song because our baby story times go from 0 to 2. So those older kids like to move around, and the parents with the babies can kind of just bounce them along to the tune. So it's fun for all ages. And then we do one where we use an instrument. I have a little drum that we use, and we sing about being warriors, and we do that to open our story time. So they get a lot of stuff just right there in the beginning. And then as everyone's coming in the door, I'll have these floor cushions for people to sit on the floor. So that way we have the grown-ups sitting with their little ones. We use it for most of our story times now, just so that we can have the grown-ups by the parent or the kids by the grown-ups. So our rules that we start off with is we use this for all of our story times. We have this slide show up first. And I just go over, you are your child's first and best teacher. So make sure that you are singing the songs, that you're doing the actions and interacting with your child because they're going to look to you as to what to do. And to kind of set the tone for the story time that this isn't just us entertaining your child, that we are teaching you how to teach your child and how to interact with your child. And then we ask them to sit with their child. And we kind of start training the caregivers at this stage of the baby story time that you're sitting with your child because they will act a lot better when they do. When we were in our old library, we just moved over a year and a half ago to a new one. We didn't do this, and our story times would get kind of big and it would get a little chaotic. And now in our new building, we have been blessed to have stadium seating for our bigger classes because our preschool age ones will sometimes get up to 100 people in the room. And it's nice to have the parents or the grown-up caretakers sitting next to the child. And so it really helps to have to set this tone for the parents that every story time you need to be by your child. And then I just let everybody know that story time should be fun. If it stops being fun, please step out of the room, take a couple minutes to calm down, and come back in if they do. If not, try again next week. Just to let them know that it is okay to leave the room, that you don't have to stay there and try to keep your child engaged in the story time when they have no interest in it. All right, so after we do that, and we do our hello songs, I like to share a literacy tip. And I just say to the parents, I like to share this so that you guys know why we do the crazy and silly things that we do. Um, and it's just really fun to share different literacy tips with parents and remind them that we're teaching the grown-ups about early literacy. I pick a new one every time, and I will just Google literacy tip for whatever age I need and look it up. These are a couple that I've used before that have quite a few good literacy tips to share. And then I'll try and incorporate it, and if I can, into the story time. All right, after the literacy tip, we will share the sign for that day that goes along with our theme. So like if it's food, we'll do eat, or we have let's have fun. So sign language is the first and easiest way for babies to express their wants and emotions. And even with toddlers, it really helps when they're still trying to learn words to understand what they're saying. So if they can say a word and do a sign with it, it really helps grown-ups to understand what they're saying. And with that, remind parents that this will help reduce frustration and strengthen bonds when we can understand what our babies are going through. I will go to babysignlanguage.com to get my image. And then I always like to check that it is one that is used throughout because this one, baby has a little bit different than just regular ASL. So I'll double check with liveprint.com or signingtime.com are both really great resources for finding how to sign different things. All right, so after that, we'll usually sing songs and stuff. And some of the tools I use for our songs, rhymes, lap bounces, and finger plays, I always use scarves. I have them available on the table for the kids to pick up as they come in the room or the parents, or I always say, I keep saying parents. I'm training myself to say caretaker because we do get a lot of grandparents that come in, as well as we've had some nannies that will bring babies to the story times. So we try to use the word caretaker or grown up. So I'll do the scarves, and then I'll also have either the egg shakers or maracas available. And then that little drum is what we've used. It's just a wipes container, the Lysol wipes container with beans inside. And we tape the top and then print it off a drum graphic and tape it to the bottle. And then they use that to tap onto, and then we shake it at the end. Um, there's also the handheld tambourines and the stick tambourines. That would also be a lot of fun. We have the handheld, and the babies don't do so well with those. I'm hoping to get the stick tambourines because they tend to do a little bit better with being able to hold just that little thing instead of a big, huge tambourine. But we love to have those for the songs, just so they have something interactive, and they're really easy to clean off afterwards. We will wash the scarves, and we're lucky to have a washer and dryer now. And then the egg shakers or maracas, we just use the Lysol wipes to clean off. So when you're doing songs, remember to get up and move. When it's a much more engaging song, just clap, jump, twirl, play instruments. Um, when you're reading the book, you can always sing it too to incorporate more of singing. Um, and try to do it again and again and again, as much as you can, because that repetition really reinforces their learning. And then you can always talk about some of the words in the songs afterwards and what they mean. Or I like to sign, like if we're singing about a bird or anything, I try to sign along with. And then try to break up, whether you're doing them fast or slow, singing them slowly. It breaks up the syllables of the words, by assigning a different note to each one. Like, are you sleeping? Really breaks up the word for you. And then sing them quickly because then, changing that tempo, they'll hear the small sounds of the words differently each time. So you can do the row, row, row your boat fast, gently down the stream, and then swiftly. And so change that tempo. And then, I really liked, changing up singing a familiar song to a different tune, like the alphabet, because kids really do have a hard time getting that LMNOP becomes one sound to them. It did to me as a kid, I remember. And so singing it to Mary Had a Little Lamb breaks that up. So, just try different things when you're doing songs that, you're comfortable with, for one. You always want it to be comfortable to you. Don't do things just because other people are doing them. Do things that you are comfortable doing and change it up when you can, just to show parents that they can make up songs and they can change it. So we're just, like I said, we are teaching the caretakers how to, bring early literacy to their children. All right, for rhymes, these help with word recognition, memory, creativity, and then things like counting and spelling for sure. We do a lot of counting and spelling rhymes. I try whenever I can to use a puppet because babies absolutely love touching those fuzzy little, puppets. And so I'll take the puppet up to each little baby so that if they want to interact, they can. If they look hesitant, I'll do their toes or I'll do mom's hand or something, do the caretaker's hand. Or, if they love it, then I let them hug it if they can. And then again, repeat the rhyme a few times. Three is the magic number. It just really gets the tune and the words into the caretaker and the baby's heads so that they're able to remember it and do it at home. If you're doing nursery rhymes, try to act them out if you can. The more that you get into it, the more the kids are going to get into it and watch you and really like it. Again, using props or toys. I love the scarves because you can throw them up and the babies watch them fall, or you can have it go on their face and go on their hands, put it all over. So it's really fun to have something that interacts with their body so that they're also getting that body awareness and interaction along with the rhymes, especially when doing like hands and feet, like head, shoulders, knees, and toes, using the scarf so that they know where it's at, and associating that. And then always be looking online for resources and new ideas. Uh, with our technology nowadays, it's so fun to see the creative things that people are coming up with. And when you see it and fall in love with it, then you can incorporate it into your own story times. All right, for lap bounces. Oh, I just absolutely love lap bounces. It is a perfect way for children to experience and develop a beat. And that helps with making music, but it also aids in physical development like walking or bouncing a ball or riding because those things kind of have a beat to them. It also stimulates their vestibular system, and that's your sensory system that's in your inner ear with balance. And it helps them to process new information that their eyes can see as they're moving. They're learning when up and down or side, back. So they're also learning positioning. There's lots of songs that work well for a lap bounce. One of my favorites is Bouncing Up and Down in My Little Red Wagon. I've done that for We're Swerving Left and Right in My Little School Bus. You can do it for a lot of different things. Um, Another thing that's great about the lap bounces is that helps develop their muscle strength as well as the balance. And then they're learning words that associate with their body, what it's feeling and doing. They're bouncing up and down, up and down. So it's really great for them to learn these transition words for objects and actions. So it's a lot more than just them getting to interact with you. They're learning so much through those. So I always try to incorporate one of all of these things, a song and a rhyme and a lap bounce. And on to our next with finger plays, where we're doing something interaction. We're helping again with the word recognition, and this one's motor skills, memory, concentration, imagination, and engagement. So when you have those energetic kids, it's keeping them engaged. And again, repeating it 3 times if you can. And then make sure you're modeling it for the parents so that they know what to do. And as always, use props or toys if you can, if your budget allows. If not, the scarves aren't very expensive, and the Lysol cans with beans or rice inside are perfect, cheap props that you can use for the kids. And then remember to have fun and be silly with it. Sometimes as adults, we forget to be silly. And so that's what we're here at the library to remind parents that you can be a kid again. You can be silly, and it's perfect. It's what the kids need. And then again, always be looking online for new ideas to incorporate into your story time. Okay, so our next is the lullabies. I absolutely love having a lullaby. Um, I love to show caretakers that any song can become a lullaby and anyone can sing to a baby. So if they don't have a great voice, just remind them that they can whisper as they're singing, like whisper sing a song. And um, or they can just they can sing along to it. Like you can play an instrument to accompany you. Or I use Spotify and find a version that I like of a popular song. I have done oh gosh, it just came out of my head. Three Little Birds um from can't remember what version I used, but it was really fun to play that one. It was a much more slowed down version of Three Little Birds sat on my window. And then singing a cappella is also a great option too, to remind parents that you don't have to be accompanied by music. You can sing it anytime, anywhere. Um, and one of the main reasons, or not one of the main, but another reason that I love to do a lullaby is because we can then transition to it kind of calms us down in time for reading a story. Um, and then also when I do lullabies, I'll do one for a whole month. So we do weekly um, baby story time. And so I'll use one lullaby the whole month and then I come up with another one. So that way I only have to come up with 12 lullabies instead of 52 if I changed it every week. But it's better than just doing the same lullaby every time. My favorite is Baby Mine. I sing it to my kids when they were little, and it's one I love to share with everybody else in story time because it's just beautiful. All right, so after our lullaby, I like to do our transition into reading a book. And this is the slide that I use is it goes and I do um actions with it. It goes, look, 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 it's time for a book. Look, 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 it's time for a book. Look, 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 it's time for a book. It's time for a book right now. So that is a great way to let the kids know what we're going to be doing and letting parents know too, or caretakers know that we love to do this to transition into reading to help kids know what's coming next as a reminder that it really does help. Some kids have a hard time moving from one activity to the next. And then I found these other two that are similar um, that looked really cute where now, let's see. Now it's time to read a book, read a book, read a book. Now it's time to read a book. I'll read a book to you. So it's really fun. You can do that slower or faster. And then the one that was skipped to my Lou, it's just look online. You can find so much different things and find one that you like and fits your style. All right, now when reading books, the things that I like to look for is for babies 1 to 6 months, I like to get the larger, simple black and white images or pictures that are in bright colors set against a contrasting background, but there's not many words. There's not a lot going on. It's more of a kind of just bird. And if I know the sign, I'll do the sign along with it. And we're lucky enough to have a projector, so I'm able to scan our books and put them on a projector. If you don't have that, you can have the book in hand and let all the kids see inside. But just show the parents how you interact with the story and get the kids engaged in the story time and not just, here's a story. Um, and then for the older babies, if you are able to do, um, you're able to look for the medium to large photos and bright, bold illustrations and look for books that have a little bit more going on with them. Like there might be like the bath book. There's a couple of words on the page. When I do my color themed story times, we have a bunch of these, my book of, and we have purple, red, orange, green, and those are really fun because each page has something else. And I'm like, oh, have you ever seen a green alligator? And things like that, where you're just engaging and interacting with those babies and showing the biggest reason we do it is showing the grown-ups different ways that they can read a story and giving them permission to not just read it the standard way, but to really have fun with it and make it yours. All right, so after we have our book, we have what is called our together bags. This is something that I just love doing. It's a great way to give time for the caretaker and child to explore for about 3 to 5 minutes. And they're going to be able to have 3 different ways to bond with our bags. So we just have a little bag, and inside we put a board book, and they're all different. And then we use these little hand puppets that are in the picture here. And we have a sensory toy. And I will play a song. I was able to find on Spotify the Encanto song, Dos Arigatos, or however you say that. My Spanish is not great. And it's just the instrumental and it's a little bit quieter. And so I'll play that as background music while they are exploring it. And the song's about 3.5 minutes, almost 4 minutes long. So it's the perfect length. I did see someone that does this as well, that the teacher for the class, she is very talented and plays different instruments. From piano to a guitar to ukulele. And I would love to do that myself. I'm just not that talented with music. And so if you have that ability, play live music. See if you can get someone that's local that would love to come and play for the babies because that live music's just so great for them. All right. So after that, we used to gather them up when we were done with the story time, but or done with the together bags, but we had some kids that would get upset and cry. So we decided we now tell them, keep the bags until the end of story time. And then that's when you can turn them in so that we didn't have to deal with any tears or upset ch children. All right, so some of the sensory toys that we have in ours, mini bubbles. I love the mini bubbles because they are just a little tube with the wand in it. If it spills, it's fine. If it breaks, it's fine. It's very cheap and they're easy to refill. So and easy to wash off. So that's one thing to look for is too big to swallow, small enough for the baby to hold, it's durable, and most important, it's easy to wash off. So the mini bubbles are one. We aren't able to afford the fidget slugs. I would love to because they're really fun, but they're a little more ex on the expensive side. The squishy shapes are really fun for the babies because there's a lot of different shapes and colors. So every time that we do them, they get a different one. Then we have mini poppets. We just have the circle and square and heart ones. And then I was looking for images, I saw these fun ball ones that have different animals and things, and now I want to get those for our babies. They also really love these textured stretchy strings. They're um, known as monkey noodles, but these ones are textured, which they're also shorter because monkey noodles can be pretty long. These ones are shorter, so they're perfect for little hands. And then we have animal pop tubes. We have some that are like little dogs and unicorns, and those haven't held up as well as the ones that I have on here that are the different animals. Those have held up a lot better. They do come with little keychains, but we just give those to our makerspace to use for different activities. So just remember to look for those things when you're doing the sensory toys. And we have quite a few, so we rotate between them every week. They get a different one each week, a different sensory toy. So that way it keeps it new and fresh so that they'll have a different book, a different puppet, and then a different sensory toy so that it's something new for them each week that they come. All right. So usually after we do the together bag, I'll sing one more song and then we'll have our ending. And it's going to be the same every time. And that's just to reinforce that routine and transitioning into the goodbye so that the babies know that we are ending. We have a homework song that we have at the end of all of our story times that just teaches the 5 things that help with early literacy. And that's on the next slide. So I'll sing it to you and do our actions. And then I will do a baby shark and I'll do a version by the Learning Station because I love their it's a little bit quicker. You only sing Baby Shark 2 times. You do a rowboat, and then you say goodbye to the sharks at the end too. So it's a little bit faster than the original, but it's still recognizable to the kids. They recognize it and they absolutely love it. And then we sing our goodbye song. And the one that I chose, we wave goodbye to our friends, or it's time to say goodbye to all our friends, and then we clap and then give a smile and wink your eye. And I like doing that just because it makes it positive that it's okay to be saying goodbye. Right, so after our ending, so this is part of ours that we do in all of our story times. So it just goes, we we clap on our lap, read and write and talk, sing, play. And then you turn to your other ones at the library today, and you clap with your little one. For the babies, we just have the parents clap. Check out books and take them home. Practice reading on your own. Read and write and talk, sing, play at the library today. So our kids, they really love singing that and it's fun. So if you don't have a homework song that helps parents remember the 5 things with early literacy, I suggest you get one or you can steal ours because my coworker Anna made this and she's just great and it's so cute. All right. So with my story time, I also have a handout that the caretakers can take home that has everything that we did in our story time. so that that way they will have the words in case they can't remember them once they get home because it may be new to them. Oh, and there's the lullaby that I love, Three Little Birds. Don't worry about a thing. And so that's what we hand out each week. I just get it together and it's just double-sided paper. It's not, it doesn't look like it does on here. It's just a double-sided paper. All right, and then the resources that I love to do, Jaybrary, they have a great YouTube list that is done um, in different ways that you can look up by themes or like lap bounces or songs. And so it's a really great resource. I like watching Miss Rachel on YouTube because as you're watching it, she shares literacy tips on her videos that you could incorporate into your story time. The Book Cart Queens have a lot of great videos that help you with your songs. And then I stumbled upon Danny Rosevier on YouTube, and she is from the UK, so she has cute songs and rhymes that I've never heard before that I just love introducing into my story times. All right, so down at the bottom, I have my contact email if you have any questions for me that you think of after this. And if you guys have any questions or would like to share anything that you do in your story time, now would be a great time to share those with me.
We have a question from Eden. Can you suggest a good source for scarves, shakers, and tambourine?
So the tambourines, I'm not sure where we got those, but we just get our egg shakers and our scarves off of Amazon. We just look on there for a good priced one. But I know other people have used Lakeshore is a good one for looking for things for the library for story times.
Feel free to put things in the chat if you have a question, or you're also welcome to unmute and ask a question as well.
Question. This is Lucinda Longweb from Grand County Library District in Fraser Valley, Colorado. So there's a lot of great ideas. My pen's been going crazy writing. How about does this all take, and how many times do you offer story time at your library?
So my story time is usually about 20 minutes long. I would suggest trying to keep it between the 15 and 20 minutes. And then we also leave time afterwards, like about 10 to 15 minutes that we let the caretakers just stay in the room and interact. We'll bring out some toys and stuff for them to use. And we do 2 story times a week right now. We did do 3 last fiscal year, but we weren't getting quite as many in the third one, so we went back down to 2 a week.
We have a question from Kelly. How many babies do you get in your story time? I love the Together bag so much. And we also had another comment about the genius. It's genius to have the homework song. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. Sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, sorry, I should have put that at the beginning. How many babies do you get in your story time?
Okay.
Or how many do you let in?
We don't limit it because we have quite a big room that we can have them in, but we usually have about 15 to 20 babies. But that's because we have the 0 to 2. And sometimes we have gotten up to about 60 people in the room, so like about 30 kids. And then sometimes we'll have about 10, which is what I love. 10's really good if you're able to do just like the 0 to crawling. Um, if you can do just the 0 to crawling, I feel like 10's a good amount.
And then we have a question from Tess. What do you do with older siblings who come along?
We let them just join in. They usually will be really great about being helpers. If so, we pass out the drums and then we take them back after our warrior song at the beginning. And they are great helpers with helping with that. So we always say, baby 0 to 2 and their siblings are welcome because we don't ever want someone not to come because they have an older kid. And then they just enjoy the story time as much as the babies, or they sometimes even more because they'll get up and kind of get more interactive in some of the songs.
And you were just kind of talking about the different ages, but do you split your story times up by age? Like, do you have one for babies and then another one for toddlers?
No, we haven't been able to, just for staffing purposes. We've just done the 0 to 2. We just have other libraries around us that I went and watched theirs, and they had 0 to crawling. And it's a very different environment, and I wish we could do it, but we just don't have the time, the staff yet to do that.
Any tips or tricks for gaining attention of movers, crawlers, walkers when your usual songs, rhymes, attention getters have stopped working?
So sometimes if they're movers, I'll have them come up. Um, I had a girl that would not sit still. She's very high energy and she loved coming up to me. She was very social. And so I would just have her help me with whatever we were doing or use her as the example instead of a teddy bear. Because that's usually what I have on my lap is a teddy bear. And so I would use her instead. Um, and just if they're having a harder time staying engaged, you could always talk with the mom to or the caretaker to see if they can be more engaged with the child because I found a lot of the times when the parents are engaging with their child, even if they're high energy, they won't be as disruptive. And you can always try going up in your energy level to get their attention. Um, I move quite a bit in my story time. I'm very high energy myself. And so that usually tends to keep their attention.
Anyone have any other sharing ideas? You're welcome to keep putting questions in the chat. Oh, Kelly asks, what is the warrior song lyrics? Or what are the warrior?
Okay. They're really easy. It just goes, so we have our drum and we go, I'm a warrior when I play my drum. I'm a warrior. Watch out, here I come. Rum, pum, rum, pum, pum. And we do that, the rum, pum 3 times, and then we sing it 3 times. And sometimes I'll do each one in a different voice just to let them see um, that they can be, that it doesn't have to be exactly what you do. You don't have to sing it the same every time. You can change it up a little. And I usually will sneak up on the kids when I'm watch out here I come rum pum and I'll walk around the room going around to all of them and beating my drum in front of them. So it's a really cute fun one I like to do.
And then we have another question. Do you know any good resources specifically for songs with ASL signs?
Um, I don't, just because I've noticed most songs have something that has a sign in it that is easy to do. Um, just not as much the lap bounce songs, but a lot of the like more simple baby songs usually have a sign that you can use with them. But yeah, sorry, I don't have much for the ASL other than the ones that I shared. If there's no questions, I could oh oh real quick. Just remember that as you're making your story time to make it yours, the person that did the baby story times before I did was very different. She was much more quieter, and that fit her personality and style better. So just always remember, just because someone else is doing it doesn't mean that you have to do it. Um, make it pick the songs that you like to sing, do the things that you like to do so that because the babies are going to know when you're uncomfortable and not like you, not like it. When you don't like it, they can tell. So make sure that you're being authentic to yourself. But if you would like, I could um share. I have a story time, um, one of my story times that I can show you guys and just kind of go through it. And then if you have any questions as I'm going through it, feel free to stop me and I can answer them. So like I said, we always start with this slide. And then this is my hello song so that we're clapping and we get to roll our hand. We stomp our feet and then we roll our hands and say hello. And I pretend like roll your hands and say, and I got like a Jack in the Box, hello, when I come up. And so we just sing that once. And when we do our hot potato song by the Wiggles, and that's a really fun one because you can really get into it and it's good for the caretakers because they can do spaghetti. I'm like, it's on my arm, it's on my face, it's on my legs. So it's a really fun one. And then mash it up, ooey gooey, as we're singing. So just like to make it really fun and interactive with the kids. It gets a lot of smiles from the little ones because as you're doing the spaghetti, it tickles them. It's really fun. And then here's the I'm a warrior when I play my drum. And so we'll do that 3 times. And I'll kind of shout, here I come, kind of a thing, just to make it silly. And then we do our sign. So sleep. And then I'll do a song about sleeping. So or this one's more of a rhyme. Go to sleep, little thumb. That's 1. Go to sleep, pointing finger. 2. Go to sleep, middle finger. 3. Well, we put them down. I'm putting them up. And then I'll rest them snugly in their bed. So we'll do that. And that's one I got from that Danny Rosevier from the UK. I hadn't heard before. And then share our literacy tip. And this one's just talking about it actually helps to do our sing-song high-pitched way of speaking to babies because we slow our speech down and there's more pauses between words. So it's actually very helpful to babies to do baby talk. And then we do a little rhyme, or this one's more of a finger play. Yeah, here is a baby ready for a nap. And you point to your baby, lay them down in their mother's lap. So if you don't have a baby, I just use my finger. Cover them up so they won't peek. Rock them till they're fast asleep. And that's why I like to have a teddy bear, is because otherwise you look a little silly. So it's nice to have a little teddy bear to mimic. And then this is one where it's the piggybacking where we use the tune of Farmers in the Dell. Dance your fingers up and down, up and down. And you can do it all over their body and all around. Dance on your shoulders, dance them on your head. So they're getting that sensory, and they're getting told like this is your head, these are your knees. So it's a great one to do. And then 1 fluffy quilt on my bed, 2 little pillows for my head, 3 teddy bears to hold tight, 4 kisses from mom for a restful night, 5 hugs from dad, and off goes my light. Good night. So that's our little rhyme. And you can do that however you want. That's what I love about rhymes. Make it your style. And then we have our lullaby. And this one just happened to be, I don't know if you guys have seen an older movie. It's called 3 Men and a Little Baby. And then there's a 3 Men and a Little Lady. And they sing this. And that always stuck with me. And it's one I love. I've sung it to my children. Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. And I usually stand up in the front and hold my teddy bear like I'm rocking it. And I'll snuggle it and just mimic what I would do with a baby so that we are teaching by example. We are modeling for the caretakers things that they can do. All right, and then we do our look, look, look. It's time for a book. And I'm sure you could put this to a song like the other ones were. And then we have our book. This is one of my favorites. I read it to my kids a lot. I didn't ever have to look at the words after for my third because I'd read it so much. The Going to Bed book. The sun has set not long ago. I love Sandra Boynton. Let's see, and then, oh, with soap all over, scrub, 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 and you scrub your baby. They hang their towels on the wall and find pajamas big and small. So again, doing all those mimicking, interacting with the book. You could say, look at all those towels. How many towels? And then with some on top and some beneath, they brush and brush and brush their teeth. And when the moon is on the rise, they all go up to exercise. 1, 2, 1, 2. Look at that silly moose lifting weights. Oh, is that lion? Is he running in the background? All right, and down once more, but not so fast. They're on their way to bed at last. The day is done. They say good night, and somebody turns off the light. The moon is high, the sea is deep. They rock and rock and rock to sleep. So that's how I read it, just as an example. And then I have my slide showing the together bags. And I like to try and have, there's a dad and a mom on there. And then we sing another song, teddy bear, go upstairs. And I'll use the teddy bear. And if I don't have a lot of kids, we have 8 teddy bears that I can bring out if we have a smaller class. Otherwise, I just have my one. And then I put up this slide so they know it's Baby Shark, and we'll play that. And then we have our homework song. And then my goodbye song. It is time to say goodbye to all my friends. And as I'm singing it, I try to make eye contact with all of the kids. I will go through, and if they're looking at me, I make sure I look at them. And it is time to say goodbye. Give a smile and wink your eye. So I'll sometimes do both, or I'll go wink and do one for each. Your eye. It is time to say goodbye to all my friends. And then we have in Utah, I don't know if you guys have this in Colorado. We have this Help Me Grow Utah. It's a free resource. So I'll share that with them. And we have a handout that is available on the table. So I'm like, remind them, if you haven't used them, here's this handout. Please take it home with you and check them out because they have so many amazing things. And then we also have it's not on here, but we have a calendar that has little activities that you can do every day that we purchased that we can have that as a handout as well. So we usually have 3 handouts for our grown-ups to take home with them from Storytime.
Tiffany, we have one more question. Do you have any tips or tricks for taking story time into a classroom setting where the ratio might be 5 babies per 1 adult, so they can't be one-on-one?
I haven't had to do that, but I think if you it's just one of you and 5 babies.
I'm imagining it's, and Jenny, feel free to jump in the chat and correct or unmute, but I'm imagining like it's caregivers that have like a preschool classroom where there's 5
Okay.
little babies and 1 preschool teacher.
Yeah. Then that one I would probably just try to interact with the songs, like take turns with the scarf, doing it to each baby, the tickling, like take your slow down everything just so that you can do it to each baby. they each get a turn with doing whatever it is that they're doing. Um, and so just using some of the simpler songs that you can do that with. Um, like, oh, trying to think it, which ones that we could do. Um, but yeah, like the lap bounces, I would just not have those in there, but just use, yeah, ones that you can like having the toy, all the babies will have the toys, but mainly like with the scarves or the lullabies, just kind of like interact with each baby as you're doing the song. Um, whether you're just like rubbing a leg or a belly or a shoulder or on the head. But yeah, just having them take turns with each baby and slowing everything down.
I love that. Well, you're getting lots of love in the chat. So thank you so much, Tiffany, for sharing all of your ideas. And thanks everyone for being here. This is the end of this session. We'll come back in about 5 minutes for our keynote and our final presentation of the day.
Thanks for coming, everybody.